Hi, I'm Jed. Have you reached spiritual enlightenment yet? If you haven't, it's because you haven't been listening to enough bass music. So today we're going to be making some psychedelic bass music in the style of LSDream. I got this idea the other week. I was just driving to pick up some takeout and it just got beamed into my head. So I pulled over and recorded this. The main thing that I remember is that I wanted the bass to do this awa, 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 awa sort of thing. I'm not that good at sound design, so I ended up taking a couple presets, adjusting them, and layering them together and pushed it through a group with an OTT on it. This is what that sounds like. Here's just the bass. It wasn't good enough to have just the bass, so I added a delay on it. That's the slapback that you're hearing. And then I like to bounce to audio because for this particular bass sound, I knew I wanted to do some pitching where it goes, oh. So I opened that in the pitch envelope section of the audio. That's the final result. All right, next to the drums, here's just the drum bus. By the way, all these samples are from the Quest for Bass drum kit sample pack from Excellent Sound. Love their stuff. All right, here's the heavier section. Something that I wanted to add for this track that I thought would be interesting was a duduk. It's a little Armenian flute thing. It's an amazing instrument. It's used a lot in cinematic music because it sounds like it's crying. So I ended up using that here a little bit. I'm not the best player, but you know, with enough reverb, it sounds kind of cool. I have it moving around a little bit from left to right. Something that I added in between the drums that I thought was really cool is all these really nice glitching sounds. So you hear those here. Just gives it a bit of an edge, I think. For the build-up section, I remember wanting to use a sitar or a sitar sounding instrument. This is something that I actually ended up beatboxing out. I knew it was going to be a sitar. I just found this sample off Splice. And I pitched each and every note to the melody that I had heard in my head originally. That little whistle sound, that wah wah, is actually me singing. It's not the best, but I ended up flipping it because I knew what melody I wanted to hear in that moment. Works in context. So for the second part of the drop, I really wanted the energy to pick up. So it does this. So it's kind of nice because it has a dubstep groove, but it also has more of an Indian rhythm to it. If you're not familiar with Indian rhythm, I can leave a link below for a Ben Levin video showing how to do conical, which is sort of like a vocal scale thing, but for percussion. It's a really good tool for teaching the many different interesting rhythms in Indian music. And for the second part of it, I wanted it to pick up and do this kind of, I don't know if it's a polyrhythm, but it sounds kind of like one. Yeah, it just sounds different. I like it. For the build section, I did a lot of layering of synth pads, basses, you know, doinks and wonks and all sorts of weird sounds. And then my own vocals as well, you know, doing the melody line. Just meant to sound meditative for the beginning. Now we're going to hint at the main melody line that you're going to hear on the bass on the build. It gives it time for you to get used to the pattern, and then it also makes the drop deliver a little harder as well. That's just underneath all the pads. It's going to do that again on the sitar. All right, for the second build-up, I wanted to do something trippy with the vocals. I figured, what a better sample than Terrence McKenna ranting about plants or consciousness or something like that. So I pulled this from him.
How can there be domains of the human mind that do not announce themselves?
So I really only liked what he said in the beginning.
How can there be domains of the human mind?
How could there be domains of the human mind that do not announce themselves? It's an interesting question. Terrence, it's too bad no one will understand you because I drowned it in effects. I really wanted it to just be this sort of trippy background element. So see, I got all sorts of shit on here. Compressors, OTTs, spectral resonators, Abbey Road, delays. I got reverbs, I got echoes, and it sounds like this. Cool. With the glitch. I wanted it to... And then in the section, it's going to sound like this. And then we're going to build on that melody line again. All right, and then for the ending, I wanted to do something a little different. So we switch into, I guess you'd call it a house groove.